Now, before I get started, we're on page Tuf Kuf, according to me. Look at we have these two conflicting ideas going on here. The Zohar started by saying that I mentioned this last time. I was thinking through it over the weekend that the Nukva is created the same time as Zeranpin. And she's created through this hole in his chest and so on. It's all that whole idea, which means that she's created from the top to the bottom. So, and eventually that, let's say if she starts at the top to the bottom, that means that she's complete, at her position there at the Chaz of Zeranpin. Then you have the other thing in the Rishash where he starts talking about the building of the Nukva from a small dot, which means over there that you're starting from the bottom. So thinking through it, I figured that what's happening in the Rishash is that they're actually showing the detail. There had to have been a shrinking of the Nukva at one time because this is the detail of the Nasira, really. The Rishash is showing you and how they ultimately make a Yichud. That's my answer right now, but I don't see anybody saying something that the Nuk, which is on the back of Zeranpin, then shrinks down at the beginning to being a dot below the Yesod of Zeranpin, and then she grows up through the various different stages. That could only be describing, I think, the actual process of the Nasir, etc. So I see them as two different things. First, you're going from the top to the bottom, and then you say you're going from the top to the bottom to the top, and like that. So anyway, that's what I'm looking for. Let's go over here now, and it says Leil Shabbos. So the midnight at Shabbos time. Besod zivug pini panim b'panim. This is the secret of a zivug where they're facing each other. This is a reproductive zivug. Is basmach b'da they sweeten each other. As this basmach v'nimtako ha'gevuros b'chasadim. So the gevuros are sweetened with chasadim. Ki ha'nukva ma'ala ha'gevuros besod mayim nukvin. Because now that the gevuros that are inside of the nukva. And this is a nukva that's existing, like the nukva. She starts bringing up gevuros and mayim nukvin to the aroma of ma'alos. Zer anpin, then he'd be able to bring down more to chasad besod mayim dechurim. Then you have also them coming from the top to the bottom and coming into her v'niz basbo v'nim to go gevuros b'chasadim. So this is also part of the process, is that when she has all these gevuros in her, and when they meet during that yichud, there's mayim nukvin produced. So let's go here. Yom b'dekula is basam bay. So this is the key. Yom Shabbos Bereshis, that day, who Yom Hagorim shekol olomos nisbasmim v'nim takim al yado. That's the day that everything else gets sweetened up. Begin kach is basam b'chodinim do b'do. V'yedei zecha hazivug, this zivug that takes place now, then all of the dinim are sweetened one to the next. Now, I don't know why he says zeh, one with each other. So he explains, because the dinim come from there. The nukva, they're sweetened with this chsadim. So then this is at the time of the Yichud, sends up Mayim Nukvin, brings back Mayim Duchrim, and there you go. So then they're rebuilt. Because from the power of the Zivug that takes place, Zer Anpin v'Nukva de Chatzilus, and this Saktim Heim Olam Chatzilus, this also puts all of those Silus in the right function. So then you have all of these lower worlds, the worlds outside of that. Af kol neshamas v'hamalachim. So everything gets a tikkun as a result of the yichud of Zohar v'Nog. Okay, let me see. Are we in a new place here? This is the neshamas of Kane and Abel. So that was an idea there that concluded. Now we're going to go into another place. V'tana b'tzniusa this sifra v'lomada birusha chasoda shel sefer d'tzniusa ki acher tachas hadinim al yedecha nesira. So after the dinim are removed as a result of the nesira, v'chazru panid b'panim. So now we went through that situation, and we're somewhere in the Shmona Esrei where we're coming closer to Sim Shalom, where the yichud is taking place. So now they're facing each other. Boyatika Kadisha Lamachse is Bas Mudinim. Ratza Eric Anpin Hanikra Atika de Kadisha. The Haros, he's made the Lamed. The Tachtonim im Achen Nisbasbo Venimko Hadinim the Gamri. So Eric Anpin comes to look and see if the dinim have been sweetened completely. But the Kach Herech of the Partsufa B'Chalomas Tachtonim Inyan Yichud Adam V'Chava. So therefore, let me read this again. He showed the Partsufa Matachtonim, Hera showed V'Chalomas Tachtonim, the Inyan of Adam V'Chava, V'Ledas Kain V'Hevel El Yonim. So his original statement is, in order to check, to be able to see that everything is sweetened, we now have Adam and Chava put into the world. All right, I don't know what it means. And then the birth of their children. Kumo Kane, Hera the B'nai Adam. So now it shows, Madam Inyan Yichud Adam v'Chava v'Leidus Kain v'Hevel the Tachtonim, and learning about what's going on in Kain v'Hevel in our world. Shehoya kedugmas yichud Adam v'Chava v'Leidus Kain v'Hevel, so that the yichud of Adam v'Chava and the birth of their children, Kain v'Hevel, and he calls them Ha'elyonim, the upper Kain v'Hevel. Kadei sheyedu b'nei Adam, in order that we humankind inyan hamtakas hadinim she'asa ayedecha nesira. And why do we learn this? We're learning, what do we need to know this? To understand about the inyan of the chantakas of the dinim she'asa yedeh hanesira v'chazir b'panim, and how that sweetening takes place during the nesira. So he says, and from this we can understand how it is, whether or not the dinim have been completely and totally sweetened. So therefore this thing is refined out, min latest kain, or becomes clear, I think that's what it means. Min latest kain shukoy besod hadinim hakashim kamot shiyavor lohalon. So now if we look at the birth of Kain, we get an idea what severe dinim are like. Ki bezer yivina tachtonim, because again he has this idea that the tachtonim, which means us, we can understand the concept of dinim that are in lowness basva v'nimtu the gamri. These are talking about dinim that were not sweetened as a result of the yichud. V'amar is the balkol trin ilin do b'do. Ki oznes davke v'nis yachnim shnei partsufim zer anpen v'nuk v'zeh. So here we have a situation where there is a yichud that's taking place between Zohar and Benuk. Shehem sod Adam v'Chava, which is also the secret of our Adam and Chava. Now here, this is like coining a phrase where he's talking about Adam v'Chava al yonim. So does he mean there? He means Zeran pen v'nuk. What does he mean? And because their sin, the power of what they did is that they managed to mate before Shabbos came. The Hainu be'erev Shabbos Bereshis, that is in the Erev of that Shabbos, Shuhu Kodem Azman HaRoa Yichud Zeran Ben V'nukva, which is not the time for that Yichud to take place. Shuhu B'leil Shabbos, which is the night of Shabbos Bereshis, Ka'amor La'el, as we have been talking about. V'nafe B'sitra de Nukva Dinda Tekifa, and comes from the side of the Nukva. And why he says the Nukva, but he says why it comes from the side of the Nukva, powerful dinim. And then what happens is with those dinim that are never been sweetened came out chayim b'tzad the gevuros shehiba b'chinas nukva. So it's the female type of gevuros. For the Kain who din. So therefore Kain comes out that he is din kasha, very difficult din. The lo yachil amal misbal, that the world is not able to manage it. So the lower worlds can't handle the shefa the gevur v'chadinim akasham and mshachim b'mena that come out of this. and maybe Raisha Kayan Hoya Mitzad Hanukva Shehema Gavuros. So putting those two together, so he had a double language of Gavuros over there, because here he says that it's coming from the side of the Nukva, which is always the side of Gavuros. The Ksiv Kamosha Kosev, V'ha'adam Yada es Chava, so he knew Chava, they lived together, Ishto, V'tahar V'teled es Kain, V'tomer Kanisi, and he used the word Kanisi, I have acquired. So he said, Ish es Hashem, so I think it's Kanisi Ish, I have acquired a man by Yud Kei Vav Kei. What does this mean? Pirish v'ha'adam hu zer anpin. This Adam that we're talking about, this is the Adam. Maybe he's talking about Adam and Chava Elyon. He said the Adam that he's talking about, asher b'manu nimshak tipas nishmas kayin, from which that is where the tipa, the male seed, goes into kayin. V'omer hakasav v'tachar v'teled b'lashon nekeva. But when it says that v'tachar v'teled, it's really a feminine language. But it doesn't say that he was born like his image and like his form. Where we see that later on, when we see the latest Shes, for example. Behind it, because he came from that side. So he says that, I'm not sure how you translate this. I know what it means, but it's supposed to mean that Hava says, I have acquired a man, as Yud Kei Vav Kei. Ki chashva shazer anpen baila yibasem as gevurasechu, because she thought. So she said that Yud Kei Vav Kei is a lashon of sweetening. It's a lashon rachmanis. Ki chashva, that she thought shazer anpen baila, their husbands, their anpen yivasem as a gevurasechu, that he had already sweetened their gevuros. Bebechinas Yud Kei Vav Kei shuhu rachamem, which means rachamem. But the world really couldn't handle it. Because the way we said it is pure from the free and female side, is very powerful din. Because the gevuras that are normally inside of the nukva, if they can't be sweetened by the male, I guess they're just really tough. Not just that. But this nachash, which we said, anyway, the Zohar is saying that in other places that this is just, the nachash is really pure lust. It's the female aspect of the klipa noga. So he tells this female aspect placed inside of her zuchama shel dinim kashim machmas chet adam arishon, because of the original chet, that they did not have yichud at the proper time. Again, kach lo chava yachol lehis basman, and because of that whole thing was off mishtamis time. She was not able to become sweetened. So that's the whole idea. She would have been sweet. The question was, why didn't she get sweetened if they had yichud? Why didn't you have Mayim Nukvin going up and all the good things? It's because it was the wrong time. And also because the lust took them over. That's what happened. So therefore they weren't able to be sweetened or perfumed, those gevuros in the nukva. Because that lust that was put into her, and it's starfu im gevuros and nukva, they all meet together with the gevuros inside of the nukva. And then the din become more and more strong. For this reason, so therefore their anpin was not able to do anything about it, because what was placed inside of her at that time was very powerful bad news. And when this came out, Kayin mistar the nukva. So therefore now, when come along and Kayin is born, he's born from the side of the gevuras of the nukva that was never sweetened. Nafik tapik kasha, takif kasha. So he said, Yatza takif, it comes out strong and hard and really nasty. and Mavara Takef Bedinui Kasha Bedinui. So he says, what's the Takef and the Kasha? What do you need two words for that? One is Takef and Din, and the other one Kasha Bedinui is Dinim are tough. The Haila Shenoide Bebechin is Takef Bedinim, the Kasha Bedinim is strong and tough and nasty dinim. Kevin the Nafak, Kevin Shayatza Venoded Nishmas Kaim. So once he was born, Shahi Sod Hadinim Hakashim, which is the secret of bringing in these bad, nasty dinim, because she was never sweetened, is Chaloshas and the Nechlosh Hanukvach Metoike Vedinim. The female aspect becomes weakened. The dinim make her weaker. And the gevuras that were inside of the nook, which is, he's talking about Chava Elyon, he says, I think. He says, Ki gevar lokach kayim es hadinim akashim, so therefore Kayim takes all of this dinim, vis basmas. So, in other words, all the dinim inside of Kain are sweetened to some extent, v'ayidei zen nis basma v'nim to go hanukva. So this sweetens up the dinim. Now, he seems to have said, what? He said, because the nukva had become weaker as a result of all those terrible dinim, like I said, were beating her up in some way inside of her, I don't know what. He said, but this, as a result of the weakness, then it's an automatic sweetening for the bad parts of it. So the das, in other words, it caused the language to a certain extent that Zuhamas Anachash, that's what I'm thinking, which is placed inside of her. So he says, for after that they lived together a second time. Afikas Achra v'az hotzia hanukva v'holeder nishmas hevel. So therefore, she brings out, the nukva brings out, gives birth to hevel. B'simen yater, but the b'sima hater yater, the sima is a little bit more sweet. V'hevel v'choya mebusa memultach yosech min Kain, he was more sweet than Kain. V'shahoyu bo k'tzaz b'chinas chasadim. So, I didn't really quite hear what he said. I thought that the idea was that since the nukva was weaker, generally speaking, so that means that the dinim in her are weaker also. Over here he says, so he's also adding into that there's some aspect of chasadim that was able to penetrate there. But that's only a little bit. The ikar was this aspect of dinim. V'kayim shuchu harishon olav nisgaver al hevel. So since it's bigger dinim, so therefore he overcame hevel. The haver the key for kasher, because he is the real strong, powerful din. The fish shekayim koyitake for kasher b'dinim yosim and hevel. V'kol dinim adornis arva rubinei. So all the dinim are not gone. V'lechein kol the dinim shall hevel. Lo choyer b'kochem. They didn't have arva. He said they didn't have the strength. La'amo to stand for his chazek connected to dinim kashrim shal kayim, and they couldn't stand up to those dinim. Tachazi, come and say, Ba'reisha dinim kashrim shal kayim nisgavra of dinim shal hevel. So we see how those dinim of Kain overcame hevel. Makasiv, what's written over here? This is the pasuk vayihi behi yosef besada. Now they're in the sada, and I know from another place in the Zohar, every time they say the word sada, they're referring to malchus. V'yakon Kain El Hevel Achiv V'Hargehu, and he killed him. It should have said they were by themselves, nobody was looking, and he killed them. So what do you need the word besada for? Besada dish the moida the ela besada the ikra sada the tepuchim. So it's called, this is the same sada that we have up above, and it's called the field of apples. Ella besada the one that's lone in Olam Atzilus. Shehi soda malchus and nikwas soda tefuchim, which is malchus the malchus of Atzilus, which is called the soda tefuchim. Kolomar shemachlokas, that the machlokas of Kain v'Hevel haya mitzad shorish nishmosechem was really on the side of the root of their souls. Hein shal Kain v'hein shal Hevel. So they come from that side. That's where it all comes from. A nikra sada, which is the sada. Let me read that one more time. He says, so we're talking about the din, and we're talking about shem shel kain v'shem shel hevel Hoya mitzad gevurus b'chadinim shehem b'chidas nukva. So no matter how you look at it, they're both dinim. Hanikra soda, and they come from the side of the female, and the female side is called the soda. V'netzach hay din la'achua. So he's a v'kushem shenechelchu kayin v'hevel hatachton l'mata. So now we see that they were arguing, the two down below. Kach nechlecha b'shorsh nishbasechel l'mala, the same thing. Now we're talking about the root of their souls. The up above also fighting. Hanikrom kayin v'hevel el yonim. But we talk about the Kayin and Hevel that are existing in Olam Atzilus. But Natzchor Adinim Shel Shorish Nishmas Kayin, and so overcame they won the Shorish of the Dinim that were in Kayin. Lamala as Adinim Shel Achiv Dahainu Shorish Nishmas Hevel. So now we see that Hevel is also Din, but not as strong, and it was overcome. Mishum Dahavakashim Inay, because it's stronger, because of Yash Adinim Akashim Shel Kayin. Haim Yoser Kashim Gam Min Dinim Kashim Shal Hevel, they're more strong than Hevel. V'akvias v'atmere t'chose. Now this is an interesting phrase. He says v'kayin hechniya lehevel. So he beat Hevel down. I guess he humbled him down. Then I guess I don't know why he used that word particularly here. Why he used the word humbled, but he overpowered him. Something like that. I don't know. And he hid him underneath himself. Now that's an interesting idea. What does he mean? Why did he say hid him in the ground, or hid him someplace else? He said he hid him underneath himself. In such a way, he covered him so much that the kind of dinim that Hevel had, which were a little bit sweeter, he said, or completely suppressed. Harigas Kain v'Hevel. That's the secret of the killing of Kain v'Hevel, is that the dinim, the most powerful dinim represented by Kain, overcame and suppressed completely those lesser dinim of Hevel. Now it's not done. The entire B'hai Kutra Barichu. HaKodesh Baruch Hu nisoro al zeh, that HaKodesh Baruch Hu became aroused in regards to this. V'roch she'ein ha'olam yachol lizbol es hadinim mekasher shel Kain, that the world could never stand because of the dinim that happened with Kain. And he removed it. So Kain is not, I don't know what he means in front of, but so in other words, in the channel, what I'm saying is the channel of the flow to the lower worlds, he removed that channel from in front of him, so it's not directly there. And so what happens is that once it's removed, where does it go? It's terrible dinim. It falls into the place of the nukva to Homa Rabbah v'hishkiu. He made him sink, b'neke v'tehom Rabbah, into that place, to go down into the hole of the tehom, of the deep depth. Now he comes and tells us this: Shuhu so bina shal klipas noga. So we understand once again, this is the klipa noga. It's the interface klipa. Part the upper part has goodness in it. The back part is completely bad. The bottom part completely bad. Bina shal klipas noga, the heichel shvi, of the seventh heichel elyon. In other words, counting up to the top. This is the very top of the klipas noga in the olam abriya. He says elyon the olam abriya. So that's where it falls to. Now the meaning of that I don't have in my hand, but I also don't know what that means exactly. V'sham na'asa chedek hara shal Kayin. So there, at this place, this is where the bad quality of Kayin rests. Shorish ala klipos, and it is the root of the klipos. So I'm learning from this is that one thing is that Olam Atzilus, is possible that the klipos are not really there. So where are the klipos then? At the very top of Bria, at the beginning of Bria. Is a v'kadol la'achoi b'shikua diyama Rabbah. V'achiv Hevel. So what happens in Hevel? Nishar, he remains kalul l'mala b'shkia shel hagadol. So b'shkia shel yam hagadol. What is the yam hagadol? Shehu so chachma the malchut atzilus. So let's go back. So he says. So we understand that. Now the neshama of Kayin, of the Kayin Elyon, is now in the upper step of Bria, of the Klipa Noga of Bria, And but the of Hevel kolu lamala b'shkia shall Yam Hagadol. Now Yam Hagadol is another word once again for Malchus. Shehu sod Chachma the Malchus the Hatzilus, which is Malchus 10 Spheros, is the Chachma there of Hatzilus. Now why would that be? So I don't know. So in other words, it sounds like it makes a fall also. I know where it was originally. The Mevasim the Mayan Eloyin. The Mayan it means the Mein Eloyin. Shehu Mamtekes as a demos. So this is a hard one. That it sweetens this place. Okay, which place is it? This is the place of the Chochma of Malchus. He says, Shehi Mamtekes, Mamtekes, she sweetens as a demos, a Yarden min Enizer Anpin. This is the place, and he's talking about this Chochma of Malchus, which is where the Neshama of Hevel is formed. So he says that this is a place where also they sweeten the tears of Zer Anpin. Kamo Kane Nimtakas Sham Nishmas Hevel. So the same way that so he's talking about this particular place called the Chochma of Malchus. The Chochma of Malchus is the place, so I don't know if it's reserved to, usually maybe it's reserved first to the eyes. It's the place where the dinim are sweetened. Sham Nishmas Hevel. Says, sweeten the tears of Zer Anpin, and also the same thing for Hevel. Shehiba Bechinas Dima Hayored, it is a tear which goes down, a Mispat Matek B'Chochma the Malchus of Atzilus, and is sweetened in that place, in the Malchus of Atzilus. Now, in the Chochma of the Malchus of Atzilus. Now, what the cause of this tear is not brought here. So we assume that a tear means that it's crying because of bad things that are going down below. It's just an assumption. And he says over here, but when it reaches this place in Malchus, it becomes sweet. The Hevel Na'asa Sham Shorish El Hadinim Haneachaz b'Malchus. So now Chaim, who is Dinim, he becomes the root of the Dinim that are holding on to the Malchus of Itzilus. But Chaim himself, he's in that place. So he's really been talking about the Chochma, the Malchus of Itzilus, but Chaim is there. But he wasn't able to get sweetened, even though that's a place of sweetening. Because he's so nasty by himself, he's suppressed by Cain in other ways. But here now he's fallen to this place. His dinim are still there. So therefore, it falls down below to become the root of the klipos. Now, once again, he said Cain was there. So I don't know exactly how he falls down to become the root of the klipos, but that means that he's saying that the Chochma of Malchus, which is where the klipos start gathering around together, I guess it makes sense, is really where the klipos start, where they appear, I guess it manifested by Cain. That's what my thinking is now. So from these two, they're the source of their neshamos. This is where the neshamas, I guess he's talking about the Jewish people. I don't know. He said who he's talking about, but the neshamos come down from them. Into this world. So they come in many different variants. V'kol Adam lefi darko, so every man gets these dinim according to his way. V'kavanaso be'es atashmish, at the time that he's living with his female part. So every man runs into this. And let me read it again. He says the word nachsen nishbesim la'alma, enish lefum orchoi. Each man according to his situation when he is living with his wife. Umamshech nishmas levonov, and he as a result of this, the neshama that he's working on, mamshech nishmas neshama levonov, the hainu az meshorish nishmas kain. Then you see from the root of the neshama of Kain, meshorish nishmas hevel, or from the root of the neshama of hevel. Yeshem mamshech neshama ben achelach hatovich shebechem. So he's able to bring what? A hevel. This hevel, it's a breath. That's our boy Hevel. So that's the best part, is Hevel. But then there's other ones that don't get that. They don't get the sweeter part, they get the nastier part. Maybe v'afal gab the tmiri minan, and even though they're hidden, what does he mean hidden? V'afal pishin neshamas kain v'hevel, hein tmunas lamala. See, they're hidden up above, right? He said, why? Ki shorish nishmas hevel shakur benukva de tzilus, because again, the shorish of hevel is sunk down into the nukva of tzilus and malchus. V'shorish nishmas kaim shakur bebechin de klipas noga. He's further out. He's in the klipa noga, the olam abriya. I guess the reason why you say klipa noga because it's with the highest level of the klipos, and you're at the highest level of bria. So like he says up above, im came yesh the shul. So then you have this question: How is it that these two? Why would be these two kind of hevel, which are terrible dinim, become the basis of bringing the neshamos into this world? But the answer is mispashtim da b'da. Ki af shorish nishmas kayim v'hevach t'munich v'shukuyim. So even though that they're sunk into, what is the rest word? Sham. What happened here? I think I might have skipped a page. Yeah. Wait a minute. Go back here because of mishtam. So ki af shorish nishmas kayim v'hevach t'munim. The shakuyim, they're all sunk into the mala up above. In other words, they're placed in there, deposited in there, or really planted in there. But that's their root. But out from them comes different nitzutzim. And these nitzutzim that come out, these sparks that come out from them, start joining together. And they become like one body. And they become like one body. The Rishaya, so from this we see coming down the neshamos of Rishayim, of Rishaya, Chayivaya, Takifi Rucha, people who are bold in nastiness. Umin achedek Rasha Zeh Haguf. Yared is the mat and the neshama shel Rishayim v'chutoyim. Baruchim. So this is where the worst people come up. That their root is really from the side of that lust, which is represented by the serpent. We learn from both of them. Did you might think? So the sparks, that's only after the sparks of Cain and Hevel come out and they form themselves into one body. Then the neshamas of the Rishonim come in. I don't think I got this question. Raw, there's a bad portion. So there's really some badness in both of them. But they're all one thing. So he says Eloh Emesu ki neshamas ha-rishayim nimshachos he mitzad neshamas kaim bifnei atzmo v'he mitzad neshamas hevel bifnei atzmo. So the neshamas come out. Whether they come out from one side or the other, they're all coming out, they're joining together. I'm not sure exactly what that meant, but that's it for today. Thank you very much for learning with me. We got a long way, and this is a different view of Cain Behevel than we ever had before.